Seal her over. Step away!
Today we will explore one of the most popular characters in the Marvel Universe. While many may fill those shoes, we are talking about the bewitching, shape-shifting anti-heroine Mystique. The blue-skinned mutant has always had a strong presence in the X-Men story arcs, and this raises a few questions about where she is really from. What are her true origins? Are her powers only limited to shape-shifting? What is the extent of these mutated powers? Does she have any weaknesses? Let us find out. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Exploring the mysterious origins of Mystique. Let us dive into the mysterious origins of Mystique, also known as Raven Darkholme. She first appeared in the 16th issue of Ms. Marvel, which was published in 1978 as an adversary to the protagonist. Mystique, who constantly oscillates between cruel villain and a morally conflicted anti-hero, has quite a complex history and origin story about which not a lot is known. In recent times, the movies have attempted to reframe her origin story and made a lot of changes to her character's story arcs for the sake of the plot. It is said that she is over 100 years old and was born somewhere in Austria. Her blue skin and shape-shifting abilities manifested around the time she was 12 years old, and they seem to slow down aging altogether. Mystique is one of the few characters who is openly bisexual. She was hired by the Austrian mutant named Irene Adler, who had the powers of clairvoyance, which refers to the ability to predict future events and incidents. The two would go on to become lovers for life, and together they set out to decipher Irene's disturbing dreams that contain prophecies about the end of the 20th and the beginning of the 21st centuries. Around the time their relationship was written, the Comic Code Authority still existed, which was a governing group who approved of what could be included in the comics, and at the time, a relationship between two women and the possibility of them having a child together would have been rejected. Irene, who also went by the alias of Destiny, recorded these prophecies in 13 volumes, by the end of which she was left completely blind. Their relationship was long standing up until Destiny's death, which had a tragic impact on Mystique. She was romantically involved with a few other mutant characters such as Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth, the nemesis of Wolverine, and even Wolverine himself. When Mystique met Victor Creed, she disguised herself as a German secret agent who had died, Lenny Zauber. The two became lovers, but she faked her own death in order to leave him. Mystique realized she was with his child and eventually gave birth to her boy named Grayson Creed, who surprisingly wasn't a mutant despite both his parents being mutants. Raven soon abandoned Grayson, who grew up hating his parents and by relation all mutants. Then Mystique married a member of the German nobility named Baron Christian Wagner, who unfortunately was infertile. She went on to have a child with a fellow shape-shifting mutant named Azazel. He's a biblical mutant who claims to be the ruler of the island of demons, or La Isla des Demones, off the coast of Bermuda, and is a part of and leader of an ancient race of demonic mutants called the Nephim. Azazel, a fellow shapeshifter who could also teleport, seduced Mystique, and they had a child named Nightcrawler. Her husband grew suspicious of her activities and demanded a blood test to determine the father of her child, which in turn forced her to kill him. After the birth of her son, the locals chased her from the town, imagining both mother and son to be demons due to their appearances. Raven abandoned Nightcrawler, who was named as Kurt Wagner, and was then raised by Margalie Sardos, a gypsy sorceress. After this, Mystique found herself distraught for abandoning her children when Destiny foresaw Raven adopting a child named Anna Marie. Anna had run away from home from Mississippi and was living alone in a forested area with nothing but a shotgun to protect herself. Raven eventually gained the girl's trust and took Anna under her adoptive care. The family Raven had with Destiny, with Anna as their child, lasted decades, but sadly Destiny would age like a regular human. During the time she raised Anna Marie, Raven managed to climb up the ranks of the United States Civil Service as the Deputy Director of the Defense Advanced Research Planning Agency. While in this position, she hid her mutant abilities brilliantly, and she also had access to classified military information and weapons, all of which she used for her own motives. With this power in hand, Mystique then founded the third branch of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, an organization named after the one that was found by Magneto. Raven's organization originally consisted of mutants such as herself, Destiny, Blob, Avalanche, and Pyro. Mystique trained Anna Marie and let her join the Brotherhood too, where she was nicknamed Rogue. After a few unfortunate events where Rogue suffered greatly to the point where she started questioning her own sanity, she decided to leave her foster family and the Brotherhood and go to Charles Xavier. Mystique believed that Professor X had brainwashed Rogue against her, so she tried to rescue her adoptive daughter. This plan failed as Raven realized that Rogue was willingly choosing to stay with Charles Xavier, as she believed he was the only person who could help her keep her powers in check. Mystique begrudgingly let Rogue stay behind, but went on to resent Charles even more and in turn all the X-Men. Let's briefly talk about the events of the Days of the Future Past, where Mystique's Brotherhood planned to assassinate Senator Robert Kelly. Now, had they succeeded, the consequences would have been devastating for all mutants. In the future, Sentinels had been created to hunt down and kill all mutants. Catherine Pryde, whose alias was named Shadowcat, projected her present adult consciousness into her younger self to warn the X-Men of the impending danger. The X-Men traveled into the future to disrupt the assassination attempt. This was when Mystique and Nightcrawler faced each other for the first time. Mystique offered the services of the Brotherhood to Valerie Cooper, who was a member of the Commission of Superhuman Affairs and played the role of a mediator between the government and mutant groups. This cooperation formed the Freedom Force for the purpose of subduing the anti-mutant hysteria that spread across the nation. The two teams tried to locate and capture Magneto, but he turned himself in. Mystique led an attack on Muir Island, an island off the coast of Scotland that contained the most crucial mutant research facilities in the world. Specifically, she led an attack on the Reavers, who are a group of cyborgs known for being criminals and also known for their hate for the X-Men. During this attack, Mystique left Forge, who was a Cheyenne who possessed natural mystical abilities, in charge of Destiny, who was sadly killed by Legion. Mystique blamed Forge for her wife's death and swore vengeance on him. Destiny's death affected Mystique greatly, after which she was marked for death by the Shadow King, a telepathic mutant who became a psionic entity once his physical body was killed off. She was saved by a joint effort of Charles Xavier and the X-Men. Mystique realized in horror that her abandoned son, Grayson Creed, was the leader of the anti-mutant hate group, and he hired his own father, Sabretooth, to track her down and kill her, but the truth was revealed to him about his own son. After a few months passed, Mystique planned to kill Legion, who was actually the son of Charles Xavier and was the mutant who killed Destiny. After her failed attempt, she fled from the government, but was found because of the tracking device placed on her by Forge, after which she was forced to join the X-Factor. Mystique used the alias of the wife of the US Senator named Mallory Brickman to get inside information about her son's killer, during which she temporarily lost all her powers and was transformed back to a human form. Mystique was arrested and all the identities that were built by her over the years were destroyed. Rogue also refused to bail her out of prison. After regaining her powers and breaking out of jail, she went back to the X-Factor's sentient ship, where she discovered that she herself was responsible for Grayson's death and that Destiny was an original member of the anti-mutant hate group, which completely destroyed everything she had been fighting for so far. After her whole life seemingly fell apart, Mystique began working as a double agent for Charles Xavier for a brief period of time as well. For a character as popular as Mystique, her origin story gets quite confusing. We've seen her story arcs range from possibly even being a SHIELD agent to creating her own faction of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Fans believe that the answer to where her loyalty truly lies is purposely kept a mystery. It seems that her allegiance keeps switching with every story, from being a loyal partner to Magneto, then betraying him to stand for Xavier's ideals. How does Mystique shapeshift? Mystique, being a shapeshifter, can metamorphosize. She can change her physical form and substance. She can willingly adapt the way her cells form on psionic levels. This means she is able to replicate the appearance of any human regardless of sex. She can transform into a clone of everything from humanoid to semi-humanoid. Her abilities are so precise that she could exactly duplicate things like the retina pattern of someone else, fingerprints, palm and skin patterns, even vocal cords to match their voice. In the comics, we could see a few of her bizarre transformations, specifically the time when she turned into Mojo, who was a lot bigger than she was, in order to help Wolverine and Spiral. Then there's the time she transformed into a little girl and still managed to take down a squad of policemen. The taller and heavier the person that she is duplicating is, the heavier the strain. Shortly after her enhancement, she was graced with the ability to alter her body in accordance to the situation she's in. She possesses the ability to blend into her surroundings, which works as a perfect camouflage. She imitated various textures of metal when she took the form of Magneto and could change her skin to look and feel like any material she wished. After her resurrection, she also gained the ability to transform into animals we saw in the comic Astonishing X-Men, issue number 62, where she turned into a dog, and we also saw her turn into a mermaid-like creature. She's even been seen to disguise as a statue before. Shapeshifting isn't her only power though, since she has enhanced physical characteristics such as speed, agility, strength, senses, and reflexes. She is capable of accelerated healing and is able to heal from bullet wounds in a few minutes and can even move her organs around. Over time, she has gained resistance to any toxins and venoms and thus cannot be poisoned. Mystique also has natural defenses against telepathic intrusions. If Mystique shapeshifts with her clothes on, can she take them off? Contrary to the popular portrayal of Mystique in the movies, in which we see her completely nude in her scaly blue skin, in the comics, this is not the case. She is seen donning variations of her signature white clothing in all the comic issues except the one that came out in 2001, which was impacted by the movie's release. Mystique has the ability to shapeshift with her clothes, and in fact, as we spoke about earlier, she doesn't need to wear any clothes since she can turn her skin into clothing. It is possible that she is unable to take her shapeshifted clothes off. In one scene where she hurriedly gets out of the bathtub, we see her white clothes beginning to form on her skin. Since she transforms her skin into clothing, this can be a giveaway since the clothes are attached to her body at all times. Her shapeshifting ability comes in handy since she can practically wear any outfit of her choice without giving it a second thought.
Powers are mine. Don't thank me yet. Look!
What are the limitations to her shapeshifting abilities? All abilities possessed by superheroes, villains, and mutants come with their own share of limitations. For Mystique, her shapeshifting powers are limited to duplicating others in physical appearance and not their actual body mass. As we mentioned earlier, morphing into someone who is the same weight or lower is not a problem for her. But again, transforming into someone much larger than she is, like Mojo, is more difficult and may disrupt the duration of her morph time. These appearance limitations mean that she cannot mimic the powers of the person she transforms into. An example would be the time she turned into Nightcrawler only by appearance and couldn't use his powers of teleportation. However, she could use her own powers to mimic the powers of others. Like the time when she transformed into Sabretooth, she used his powers to enhance her own powers such as strength, agility, accelerated healing, speed, and all other senses. Since she can only transform into someone based on their physical appearance, this makes her an expert in the soft skills of being multilingual and an excellent reader of nonverbal communication and body language. What powers did she acquire from radiation exposure? All characters in the Marvel Universe have been enhanced by some degree of radiation exposure, including of course the Hulk and also Mystique. In the X-Men Forever series, she was exposed to consequential amounts of radiation while saving Toad's life. This exposure not only enhanced her existing abilities, but gave her new ones as well. The radiation caused her skin to turn scaly and reptilian, which is what we observe in the movies. She is able to make changes physically based on what her surroundings ask of her, so she is able to develop night vision if needed, along with wings on her back, razor-sharp talons, a natural body armor, deadly fangs, and the ability to grow multiple limbs, which she can transform into weapons in battle, such as blades and tentacles. Mystique has the ability to conceal things underneath her skin, and she can even shrink herself down to two-dimensional objects such as a rolling pin. Conclusion. So there is the winding journey of Mystique, our blue-skinned mutant who has had quite a tragic life, filled with abandonment, loss, and betrayal. We cannot say for sure if the blue persona she has finally embraced is her true form, and nor can we say we know everything that there is to know about her. But that very mystery surrounding the character is what keeps her alive. Her fellow mutants can never bring themselves to trust her sly self, and one can never guess who she will decide to impersonate next. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!